You think the people you meet for a drink or a date are harmless until you realize they've been watching you long before you ever notice them. And by the time you do, it's already too late. I remember the night like it was yesterday, though it happened 5 years ago. My older sister Jen had told me and our other sister, Maria, that she was going to meet a guy from Tinder at a bar a few blocks away. She seemed excited, casual, like it was just another Friday night. I didn't think much of it, but something about the way she said it later would haunt me. Jen told us where she would be sitting, and she texted the guy to let him know. Under a minute later, a man slid onto the bar stool next to her. He was older, and Jen immediately noticed the smell. Bad, lingering, something acidic mixed with cigarettes. His breath smelled awful, and his front tooth was crooked, catching the dim bar light. She politely refused his offer for a drink, explaining she was waiting for someone. He didn't leave. Instead, he hovered, leaning slightly, eyes narrow and calculating. He tried to strike up conversation, insisted on buying her a drink while she waited. Jen's discomfort grew, and she asked him to leave. He did, but only to sit at a nearby table, keeping her in view. She texted her date again. "Where are you?" No response. Minutes passed. Another text. Still nothing. When he finally replied, it was strange, running late. "Get a drink or two without me." The timing made Jen's skin crawl. And to make matters worse, the man who had been sitting there returned, again plopping down beside her. He asked where her date was, acting almost upset. Jen replied once or twice, but eventually told him firmly to leave her alone. She decided to leave. As she got up, she noticed his phone vibrating on the bar. That's when it clicked. He had been tracking her somehow, sitting and waiting, and now his phone revealed he was aware of her movements. She texted Maria, asking what to do. Maria's advice was simple. Just leave and go home. Jen made her way to the bathroom, as if for a routine stop. When she came out, the man was gone. She breathed a sigh of relief, hoping it was finally over. Driving home was simple, but her relief was short-lived. When she pulled into the driveway, another car pulled up across the street. Not directly in front of the house, but one house over. By the time she made it inside, Maria and I had greeted her. She explained the situation and told us about the man, the bar, and the way he had been following her. Maria comforted her better than I could. I told her if the man ever came near her again, I would make him regret it. That night, I was playing Far Cry 4 in my room, trying to ignore the tension, when I heard the screaming. Both of my sisters were screaming. My head snapped toward Jen's room. From Jen's perspective, she had been lying in bed when she got a text from that number again. "Hey, I'm so sorry I didn't see your text until I got to the bar." Before she could process it, another message followed. "I'm going to meet you at your house." She called Maria, panicking, and as they talked, her bedroom window slid open. Someone was trying to get in. The screams brought our parents and me running. The man gave up before even making it inside, but the terror was real. My dad ran outside, but the man was gone, probably already in his car. The police were called, and Jen gave them the number. It turned out to be a fake number created through an app. Weeks passed, but there was no trace. Eventually, life went back to normal, but none of US could shake the fear. What unsettled me most wasn't the bar or the texts or even the attempted break-in. It was the sheer audacity of someone thinking they could just follow a woman home and try to climb into her window. The thought that someone could plan something so personal and invasive left a permanent mark on all of us. I moved to a small town recently, hoping for a fresh start. Life had been a whirlwind, new job, new apartment, new city, but I thought dating might add some excitement. I downloaded Hinge and started matching with people in the area. One match caught my attention, a woman named Kate. She was 7 years older than me, 30 at the time, and there was something about her photos that made me curious. We messaged for a few days. The conversation was light, playful, nothing out of the ordinary. We decided to meet for dinner at a small restaurant downtown. It was a cozy little place, tucked between a coffee shop and a bookstore, with dim lighting and quiet music. I arrived early and waited in my car. After a few minutes, I got a text from her. "I can't find the place. Can you share your location?" I did, and soon after, a beat-up Honda pulled into the lot. She stepped out, and for a moment, I felt a pang of disappointment. She looked nothing like her photos, or maybe the pictures were heavily filtered. Either way, the excitement I'd felt just minutes ago faded. I got out of the car, trying to mask my disappointment. I approached her, offering a hug. "Hello." She shook her head. Not a hugger. I awkwardly lowered my arms, forcing a smile. She returned it politely, but didn't make much effort to engage physically. We walked inside and sat at a table near the window. The hostess handed us menus, and I tried to strike up conversation. Immediately, Kate's behavior was odd. Her voice was too loud at times, and she spoke with unusual intensity. She ordered water rudely, cutting off the waitress before she could finish explaining the specials. I offered to pay for a drink, wine, maybe a cocktail, but she declined. The entire dinner, I did most of the talking, trying to keep things casual. She gave short, clipped answers, and I could feel the tension building. When the check came, I half expected her to insist on splitting it. She didn't. I paid and we left. I told her I had a nice time. She didn't respond. Instead, she walked to her car without saying a word. I felt a knot in my stomach, a sense of unease I couldn't shake. But I shrugged it off, thinking maybe she was just awkward or shy. I drove home, feeling relief that the ordeal was over. When I pulled into my apartment parking lot, I didn't think twice. My place was the lower half of a duplex, a small, cozy space with a single bedroom, kitchen, and living area. I got out, hung up my coat, and was about to unwind when I heard the doorbell. My stomach dropped. It was Kate. I froze, peering through the blinds. She was standing there, looking up at my door. My heart started pounding. I hadn't left my location sharing on, had I? I had. She knew exactly where I was. I backed away from the door, hiding in the kitchen. My hand shook. She texted me almost immediately. "I know you're home." I typed back, trying to remain calm. "What do you want? Why are you here?" Another text came. "Answer." I didn't reply. I stayed in the shadows, watching her through the blinds. She knew I was inside, and panic gripped me. This wasn't normal. This wasn't just awkward or obsessive. It was dangerous. Suddenly, I saw her eyes at the bottom of my partially open back window. She was looking inside, creeping closer, surveying the apartment. My pulse raced. I grabbed my phone and called 911, putting it on speaker so the operator could hear the ongoing situation. Her text became more unhinged. "Nobody wants me. I'm sick of it." Another. "You're just like the others." Then I heard it, the sound of glass breaking. My hands flew to my mouth, and I whispered to the operator that she was trying to break in. She was pounding at the back door, trying to force it open. I ran to my bedroom and locked the door, grabbing the baseball bat I kept by the bed. The operator's voice guided me calmly. "Stay inside. Keep the door locked. We're sending units immediately." Seconds felt like hours. Through the dim streetlight shining into my apartment, I could see her shadow moving across the room. She wasn't ducking or hiding. She was deliberately standing there, watching. "Emilia," I said, though my voice cracked. "If you leave right now, I won't call the cops." Silence. Then movement. She walked to the kitchen, opened the knife holder, and took out a knife. My stomach churned while rising. My instinct screamed that she planned to harm me. Then, just as suddenly, she left. I could see her retreat through the back door. I locked it immediately, hands shaking. The operator stayed on the line until I could calm down. Police arrived within minutes. 3 cars for officers, all surrounding her as she was cuffed and taken away. I gave them all the information, the texts, the timeline, the knife. It turned out her real name wasn't Kate. It was Pamela Castillo. She had a criminal history and a reputation for obsessive behavior. I later learned she had planned this. The dinner, the awkward interactions, the lack of communication, it was all part of her testing boundaries. When her attempt to drug me failed, she escalated to trying to break into my home. I felt a chill thinking about how close she had come to succeeding. I obtained a restraining order immediately. Even with that, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I installed cameras, motion sensors, and extra locks. Every creak in the house, every shadow made my heart race. The scariest part wasn't even the break-in itself. It was the realization that someone could obsess over you, track you, and plan to enter your home without you knowing. That someone could watch, wait, and decide you were their target. Weeks passed, and life slowly returned to normal. But I never forgot the fear, the adrenaline, the helplessness of realizing that your own home, supposedly your safe place, could be invaded so easily. I still check the locks twice at night, and I never leave my blinds partially open again. Even now, years later, when I hear a noise outside my apartment, my mind immediately goes back to that night. The terror wasn't just in her presence. It was in the knowledge of how close I had come to being trapped, alone, with someone who had no intention of stopping. Some people think horror only exists in movies or stories. But real horror is staring at someone's eyes through the bottom of your window, knowing they've planned this for weeks, and realizing that the only thing keeping you safe is sheer luck. I've always loved hiking. The mountains and forests near my hometown have been my escape for as long as I could remember. The air, the quiet, the way sunlight filtered through the trees, it was peaceful in a way that nothing else in my life could replicate. But that summer, something happened on a trail that I'll never forget, something that turned every forest I walk into a place of unease. It started on a Friday afternoon. My friend Ashley and I had decided to explore a series of trails deep in the backcountry of Tennessee. We'd been hiking together for years, and we knew these woods better than anyone. The trail we picked wasn't well traveled. It branched off into a maze of smaller paths and rock corridors that only experienced hikers knew how to navigate. The hike started normally. We joked, reminisced, and laughed at the usual mistakes, tripping over roots, mistaking one trail marker for another. The sun was bright, the air warm, and we felt invincible. After a couple of hours, we reached a waterfall I'd been meaning to explore for months. It wasn't massive, but the water spilled over a moss-covered granite wall into a shallow pool, and the surrounding rocks created a perfect labyrinth of small corridors and narrow paths. The place felt almost magical, like it existed outside of time. Ashley and I decided to split up briefly to take photos and explore the corridors. I took the right path, while she opted for the left. The corridors were narrow, rocky, and uneven. I moved cautiously, but I was confident I'd find her at the top of the waterfall in a few minutes. Then I noticed something odd. The forest had gone silent. No birds, no wind, no rustling leaves. Just me and the sound of my own footsteps echoing off the rock walls. My stomach tightened. It was the kind of silence that feels unnatural, like the world had paused and was holding its breath. I continued up the path, calling Ashley's name, but there was no reply. That was when I noticed the stains. Dark, almost black against the mossy rock, they looked like dry blood. My heart rate spiked. I froze, scanning the corridor for any sign of movement. Nothing. I debated turning back, but the path I'd taken was narrow and treacherous. I knew it would be difficult to retrace my steps quickly. I shouted Ashley's name again, louder this time, hoping she had just wandered off. Still nothing. Then I heard it, a faint shuffling sound coming from deeper in the corridor. My mind raced. Was it an animal? A hiker who had gotten lost? Or something worse? I gripped the sides of the rock walls, trying to steady myself, and pressed forward, each step careful and deliberate. At the top of the path, I expected to see Ashley waiting. Instead, I found her sitting on a rock, pale and wide-eyed. I took the left path, she stammered. And there was a man. He was following me. I froze. What do you mean, following you? Ashley swallowed hard. He was wearing a uniform, like a trail guy, but not. He kept trying to get me to take a different route. I ignored him and followed the light to the top. He was there the whole time. My blood ran cold. The forest was supposed to be safe, familiar. And yet, here was a man, hiding in the labyrinth of rocks, watching us. My mind raced through possibilities. Was he a park ranger? A hiker? Or something far more sinister? We decided to leave immediately. As we retraced our steps, I noticed something strange. The small amount of fish food I'd left in a crevice earlier was now on the hood of my car. Her water bottle, clipped to her pack, was gone. Someone had taken it. We drove back to town in silence, the forest looming behind us like a dark shadow. Every turn, every rustle of leaves made my skin crawl. The idea that someone could live in those tunnels, watching hikers, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. It was terrifying. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the apartment sounded like footsteps in the forest. Every shadow on the walls looked like a figure lurking just out of sight. I kept replaying the hike in my head, trying to make sense of it. The man had been there, hiding in plain sight, while Ashley was navigating the labyrinth. How long had he been there? How many other hikers had he watched? Days passed, but the unease didn't fade. I started taking different routes to work, avoiding trails I once loved. The forest, which had been my sanctuary, had become a place of paranoia. I installed cameras around my apartment and even carried a small knife in my backpack when I ventured outdoors. A week later, I received a text from an unknown number. "You were lucky last time. Next time won't be so easy." My heart froze. I knew instantly it was him. I blocked the number, changed my phone, but the fear lingered. Every rustle of leaves, every shadow in the corner of my eye made me jump. Ashley and I never returned to that trail. We told friends, tried to warn others, but most people didn't take it seriously. "It's just someone messing around," they said. "You probably imagined it." But I knew the truth. There was a man in those woods, hiding, watching, waiting, and I had seen him. I had felt his presence. I had known, in that moment, that the forest was no longer safe. Months later, I learned that several hikers had reported strange encounters in that same area. Missing water bottles, strange shadows, someone following them, but nothing ever came of it. The forest remained quiet, peaceful on the surface, but I knew better. The labyrinth of rocks and trails was his domain. Even now, years later, I drive past those woods and feel my stomach tighten. I avoid hiking alone, always checking the shadows, listening for movement. And sometimes late at night, when the wind rustles the trees just right, I swear I hear footsteps in the darkness, following me just out of sight. The lesson I learned is simple. Some places hold secrets, and some people are patient, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. You can know a trail, know the trees, know every twist and turn, but you can never know what's hiding in the shadows, watching, planning, and waiting for you. And that, more than anything else, is what terror feels like. Not the immediate threat, not the visible danger. It's the knowledge that someone, somewhere, is watching you, knowing every step you take, and waiting for the moment you let your guard down.